What's up, GUFF? We are back in action, and it looks like we've got James back.
Oh, finally.
Back. Return.
He's returned from his absence, and it was definitely felt on the show. But
I went to go find the secrets of fantasy football off in foreign lands.
Oh, what
Did you
find?
find what you were looking for?
I did not.
He's got his arms crossed. So
I
confident.
failed you all.
Oh, sorry, Guff Gang. You're not going to get any secrets from James today, but maybe we can provide some kind of insights. Today we're doing our impressed and distressed, and we'll also be doing some waves and trades and our new segment, Kim Droppable, those players that we're telling you you can go ahead and drop. So, you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's get into some news. News and updates. All right, so first bit of news. Unfortunately, we saw Dak Prescott go down in the Cowboys-Giants game with a gruesome ankle injury, and he's probably going to be done for the year. It was very unfortunate to see that, but he went and had surgery, I think, immediately after. Everything went well with the surgery, but it's a long timetable of recovery. So you're looking at Andy Dalton backing him up in Dallas. We'll get into how we feel about the Cowboys now, but our thoughts and prayers go out to Dak and his family.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
Additionally, so it's not a huge swath of injuries like we've been seeing recently, but Dalvin Cook ended up with a groin injury in the Vikings-Seahawks game. Left the game, I think, at the end of the first half, and then didn't really play much after that. So monitor that going forward. He's usually a little injury prone. If you have Alexander Madison, good job. If not, you may want to be making a trade for him. We'll see. Also, Deontay Johnson left the Eagles-Steelers game with a back injury, and I don't think he came back. A.J. Green was dealing with, I think, a hamstring injury and did not play in the second half. And
Who did this? Who did that?
A.J. Green did it. That was him. It's all internal, that hamstring. And Baker Mayfield ended up with a rib injury in the game against the Colts. He played through the whole game and he had an x-ray, came back negative, but in his own words, the reason why he did not come out is because Mama didn't raise no wuss.
I thought that was his own words for if he was going to play this week.
It may have been, play this week.
Oh.
Either way, those were his words. That. He did say that. Additionally, outside of injuries, the time has finally come. Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff have been let go in Atlanta. As a
Falcons fan, are you happy about that?
Well, I thought Dan Quinn was a good coach. I thought he was a player's coach. Everybody liked him. But yeah, he didn't really get a lot of wins.
He was a fan favorite.
Well, my favorite coach who's ever gone 0-5.
I can't say that, yeah.
Sucky coach, but a great man.
He's a great guy. So he's gone. Dimitrov's gone, and I think Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator, has been promoted to head coach. Interesting move because the defense is absolutely porous, but that's fine. We're all fine in Atlanta. Additionally, Alex Smith got his first taste of game action since the gruesome leg injury in 2018 against the Rams this past week. He looked all right, but it's good to see him playing again.
Just crazy he was able to play after what happened.
Yeah, his wife looked super worried during that game.
I was so worried.
Bad for them. Yeah, it really was like any play could be his last, so it was scary. But yeah, definitely a good debut.
Yeah, and it didn't look like Aaron Donald and the rest of the Rams took it easy on him because he racked up about, I think, 4 sacks.
Donald jumped on his back on one play.
Sure did. He was testing out that leg, I guess.
Well, yep, still holds true.
So, as well in Washington, Dwayne Haskins, we may have talked about this in the last episode, but Dwayne Haskins got demoted to third string. And apparently there are rumors of a trade going on. Be on the lookout for that if you're the Terry McLaurin owner. As well, Michael Thomas was ruled out of Monday Night Football for fighting with his teammates.
It's crazy.
Apparently his ankle is, I guess, good enough to play, but they decided to sit him out because of his attitude.
What is wrong with this guy?
I don't know.
What's this
Can't get a beat
guy's
on.
deal, huh?
And lastly, the Patriots-Broncos game that was supposed to happen this past weekend got rescheduled for Week 6 with some more coronavirus tests coming back positive. A lot of scheduling changes happened with that move, so keep up on Twitter at GrownUpFF. We'll be tweeting that stuff out. And so far, the Titans-Bills game is on for tonight. Granted, we are recording this on Monday, so this is the news we have right now. But keep up on Twitter for any of those scheduling changes, anything like that, at GrownUpFF. But
Joey, real quick,
yeah.
while you're talking about our uploading, we upload on Tuesdays and Thursdays currently. We'll probably be splitting our episode and adding an additional episode each week. So 3 days a week. But if you are following us on YouTube, go ahead and like, subscribe, and click the bell to receive notifications for when we update.
That's right. Thank you, Zach. Important stuff. But with that being said, why don't we get into some impressed and distressed?
Top 5 impressed for this week. Let's start with the back. DK Metcalf, 24.3. What do y'all take away from this performance?
He is the new Julio Jones. He is the wide receiver one in Seattle. No question about it. I think on that last drive, he had the ball thrown to him literally all 4 times, and they finally connected. But he looks like he's just a man. James, I think you said it yourself. Tyler Lockett is still just a boy. DK Metcalf is a man. So this is pretty cool to see. Russ is cooking, and he's got his number one in DK now. So I'm super impressed, and I think he's going to be a Hall of Fame receiver.
He's got that ability. He looks like the Julio Calvin Johnson prototype guy. He and A.J. Brown both out of Ole Miss. Yeah, I mean, he's on this list at the bottom because we know he's dominant. But that was a great performance from Russ and from all the Seahawks pretty much at the end of the game.
It's crazy how underrated this guy was going into the draft. Definitely should have been a first rounder looking back.
Which, I mean, we should all take this with a grain of salt because his 3-cone drill is still pretty iffy. So, maybe he's not that good.
He can't run routes. He can't do the 3-cone drill. He's 6'3" and 225 pounds and runs a 4.3 40.
James is passionate
Number 4,
today.
Brandon Cooks.
James is a height supremacist.
26.1 fantasy points. 8 receptions on 12 targets for 161 yards and a touchdown. Joey?
James, while you were gone, I told Joey, at first we said, go ahead last week. He had a goose egg. We said, drop Brandon Cooks. And then on the next episode, I said, well, hold up. If someone actually dropped Brandon Cooks in your league, pick him up this week because there's a chance with Bill O'Brien being gone, he could actually start connecting. Their offense could actually get a little spark. And we saw it. They actually ran, I think, 29% of their plays were play-action passes, whereas with Bill O'Brien, it was only like 16%, which was like third fewest in the league. So their offense actually looks a lot better. They are looking downfield, being aggressive. Brandon Cooks had 12 targets. That's insane. I think this is still more of you're going to have weeks where Will Fuller will have this, Brandon Cooks will have it, but it's good to see that him and Deshaun are actually somewhat finding that connection because he could be a little bit more consistent, at least for us moving forward.
So let's kill 2 birds with one stone here because Deshaun Watson's number 2 on this list. I think we have the same points for both players. So Bill O'Brien gone, the offense has opened up. I think Deshaun's more comfortable and can do what he wants and air it out. These guys.
Yeah, you may even see a little increase in Randall Cobb ownership too. This offense is flying. It's still kind of hard to predict who's going to be the number one there. Both Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks have been the number one. Well, not really Will Fuller, but he has the ability and the opportunity is there. So both of them are shining, I think, right now. And yeah, Deshaun Watson, he's finally free of Bill O'Brien. He can finally cook himself. So yeah, looks great with the Texans.
Listen to this. This would be the strangest thing. This season, riddled by injuries, everyone across the board being injured. If Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller survive this season without getting injured, this will be the biggest 2020 thing there is.
Yeah, that's definitely 2020.
So y'all think Watson returns to form, top 5 quarterback at the end of this game?
I could see it. Now, this was against a Jaguars kind of depleted secondary right now. I think that they have a favorable schedule. We talked about this moving forward, or in previous episodes, how Deshaun Watson has a very favorable schedule moving forward. The first several games of the season were very tough opponents, so I really could see him. I don't know about top 5. I would hope so, but he does have that big playability where you could throw a 40-point game in there for you. So, yeah, I could see top 5.
Yeah, I could see top 5, and if not top 5, I could probably see top 10.
For sure.
Yeah, with Bill O'Brien being gone, it boosts his floor a little bit at the very least.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Number 3, we have Mike Davis with 25.4 fantasy points. 89 rush yards on 16 carries, 9 receptions for 60 yards, and a receiving touchdown.
So
Joey? I was going to ask, do we have a running back controversy in Carolina now?
Not in my opinion, but
no, not really. But he looks terrific. He's getting all the passing work too. 9 receptions.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm impressed, but I think the Panthers are probably a little distressed right now, knowing they just paid CMC all that money, and then Mike Davis is coming out and actually doing close to the same thing.
I don't know. I think if it's Christian McCaffrey, you're adding 10 fantasy points to each of these stat lines that Mike Davis has been putting up.
Do we think, though, so I'm impressed that Mike Davis has held his own this entire time, but CMC's about to come back. So, Mike Davis is just going to be a name in the waiver wires after that. But do we think that this outing that he is having in this time, and with CMC coming back from injury, then maybe wanting to lighten his workload a little bit, do we think that Mike Davis might actually have any flex appeal rest of season, even with CMC healthy? That he gets maybe more touches or anything like that?
Not in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe to start, if they ease CMC back, he may have some flex appeal. But it's very limited.
Right, yeah. I could see maybe the first game back, they give Mike Davis a little bit more touches just to ease him back. But after that, I wouldn't.
All right. We already talked about Deshaun Watson. He was our number 2. At number 1, we have Todd Gurley. 23 fantasy points, 121 yards, a rushing touchdown, 4 receptions for 29 yards. He looked like 2018 Todd Gurley. Looked fast, explosive, and ran the ball well.
Yeah. As an Atlanta fan and a Todd Gurley owner, I was very impressed with this performance. He's got a great slate of matchups. He had last week with the Packers, this week with the Panthers, and then moving on, I think he's got Minnesota next. He looked like 2018 Todd Gurley. You didn't get too much work in the passing game. Just there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, but 121 yards on the ground, you can't ask for much more there, and a touchdown.
Yeah, that is one of the things I am wanting to see more of is his involvement in the passing game. He still had 5 targets, though, which was good.
Yeah.
The Falcons most assuredly will be playing from behind and are a pretty high-volume passing attack. So I want to see him getting those targets. That's the biggest thing to me because he's so far done really well in terms of rushing. He's saved some days as well with getting a touchdown. So those days where he doesn't get a touchdown, you would like for him to at least bounce it out with those targets.
Right.
All right. That's all we got for top 5 impressed. Let's move on to our top 5 distressed.
Yes. So now it's time to feel gross about some of these players. And I think at number 5, we're going to go with Antonio Gibson, running back for Washington football team. Hit 7.6 points this game. Now, I'm not too distressed on him. You know what? I'm going to let you guys go ahead first. You guys give me your take on Antonio Gibson.
James, why don't you go first since you're you're a football team fan?
So the Rams are a good team, a good defense. I think this is a game where we're gonna struggle no matter what. They didn't really have to do much to slow us down. So if Gibson would have got a touchdown, he ends up with a 13-point game. I think this is what you're gonna get from Gibson unless he scores a touchdown. So I'm not freaking out about this. I'm still playing him going forward.
So I guess going back a couple of weeks, I was a little afraid just because I feel like Gibson still hasn't been getting the touches that I think he deserves. They're still kind of spreading it around. J.D. McKissick actually had a good bit of targets. But yeah, they were behind, but he still only had 5 receptions for 24 yards and then 11 rushing attempts. So I want them to give it to him or at least take away some of that passing attack that they're giving to J.D. McKissick too. So not insanely concerned. Like you said, James, this being the Rams, they were kind of playing behind this entire game. But yeah, I would just like a little bit more involvement from him.
So the reason I put him at 5 is because of the quarterback change in Washington. We saw what Kyle Allen was kind of doing in Carolina last year. CMC exploded. I think there's definitely potential for Antonio Gibson to shine here. But yeah, McKissick, his passing game involvement is a little worrisome, but I'm not jumping off the bandwagon just yet. But it's a little cause for distress. But moving on, at number 4, we have someone who's been on this list pretty much the entire time, and that is Kenyon Drake, running back for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, he did have 12.7 points on the day, but a lot of that came from a touchdown. I think his yards per carry was about 3.3 in this game, and that's against the Jets. What do you guys make of Kenyon Drake?
I would like to go, since I'm a Kenyon Drake owner. I'm distressed. I am very distressed. He outtouched, what's his face? Chase Edmonds. He outtouched him like 18-8. But still, I'm almost afraid that right now Kingsbury is giving him the amount of touches on the ground he is getting sheerly just based on respect. Just like, hey, we brought you in, you did well last year, so we're going to continue to tote the ball with you, but each week we're just kind of going to take the reins back a little bit more and a little bit more. There was also several run plays, even 2 on the same drive where you saw it actually with Adam Gase saying he kind of tried to make too much out of something or out of nothing. Like, instead of just kind of sticking his head in the ground, running forward, getting a good, 4 or 5 yards, he would try and bounce it out and get tackled for a loss. He actually did that a couple times this game, which is very concerning because he is still trying to do that, trying to revert back to that, which makes me think they may try and give more touches to Chase Edmonds because he is being a much more efficient north-south runner and also getting that passing down work. So, yeah, very distressed here.
So you're doubting Drake's talent. That's what that sounded like to me.
I don't know if it's – I'm not doubting his talent. I know his talent's there for sure, but I feel like he isn't getting much room on the ground because of the Cardinals' O-line as a whole. And because of that, he is trying to take matters into his own hands and try and make big plays when they really aren't there at the time. So I think it's kind of playing into itself. Plus, they're also not giving him the passing down work. Like, if he was getting the passing down work, I'd be fine because I think Chase Edmonds is still averaging the same amount of yards per carry on the ground as Drake is. So I think that's more their offensive line. But they really are not getting him the ball at all. It's every single time he runs a route, the play is the opposite way, or it's literally a design route just to do nothing and to take a player out of the play. And with Chase Edmonds, when he's on the field, every route he runs is almost designed to go to him. So it's very frustrating.
I wouldn't be too worried. I feel like he's due a monster game. Like we saw Joe Mixon last week just blow up with that 40-point game. I think that's coming for Drake.
But when is that supposed to come? He played what was it?
Yeah. You're right.
He played the Panthers last week, one of the worst run defenses. He played the Jets this week, so there's only so many favorable matchups he can go against. But
I'll trade you for him. Trade him
sure.
for me.
Yep.
Justin Jefferson.
Go for it. Yeah.
Straight up.
Send it.
Yeah, it's a little worrisome with Drake. That touchdown kind of saved him. But moving on to number 3, who we're distressed about this is kind of a combo. Dalton Schultz, tight end for the Cowboys, and the rest of the Cowboys kind of in general. So we saw Dak go down. Horrible injury, and Andy Dalton is now in. With that being said, does this offense turn into... There's a little bit of ambiguity in the offense now. Are they going to run the ball a little more with Zeke? So when I say Cowboys in general, I'm excluding Ezekiel Elliott from this because he's a monster. But Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, maybe even Blake Bell if you've rostered him. Yeah, it's a little worrisome. Dalton Schultz had 1.1 points in a very favorable matchup. Well, not too favorable since the Giants were a respective 10 against fantasy tight ends. However, it's the Giants. The Cowboys should have easily won this game, and instead they were, playing from behind at some point. But what do you guys make of this situation now with the Cowboys?
I'm worried. This offense is going to take a step back with no Dak. Dak was playing at a high level. Andy Dalton has had fantasy productive seasons before, where back in the day with AJ Green, and it's possible they're still good. I'm worried about Gallup. I think he takes the biggest hit, along with Schultz.
Yeah, I think Schultz takes a huge hit. Dak actually is really prone to targeting his tight ends, so I do think Schultz takes a hit. I think they probably run it more with Zeke, so I think Zeke's production just goes up. I'm actually curious to see, because the Cowboys' defense is still very bad, so they are going to have to play comeback still. Now, Dalton is in no way the same talent as Dak is, but I'm curious to see if Dalton picks out a specific receiver. Over the years, he had AJ Green over in Cincinnati. I wonder if he does key in on a receiver, because with Dak there, it was kind of like, okay, we've got Amari Cooper able to get points. We have CeeDee Lamb able to get points. Certain weeks, Michael Gallup could all get points in the same game. So I'm curious if one of them's going to start coming ahead now. Before we said, all 3 could be 1,000-yard receivers for the season. Now that seems like maybe only one of them will. So keep an eye out to see which one that might be. But yeah, a little concerning for their pass attack now.
Yeah, maybe we see the Dalton to Dalton connection. Probably not, but moving on. Second player we're most distressed about is running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, Clyde has been getting all kinds of touches and getting work in the passing game. He had 8 targets in this game against the Raiders. However, he only caught 3 of them for 40 yards, and he was 10 for 40 on the ground and no touchdowns since week 1. What's your bead on CEH?
I'm really not too worried. This was a rare game where they were actually behind, so they had to air it out a lot. You can start him with confidence going forward, in my opinion.
I'm not concerned about him. I will say one of the things, though, the very first game of the season, we saw him have literally 4 goal line carries in a row. And his goal line carries were actually really good the first game of the season. And I think they've just decreased over the last couple of games. So hence why he doesn't have a touchdown within the last couple of games. That is the only concerning thing to me, really. Other than that, talent-wise, he's there. Receiving-wise, he's there. So, yeah, I'm not super concerned or distressed right now about that.
Well, up next, he has Buffalo and then Denver, who are 7th and 1st against fantasy running backs.
Yeah, so.
Tell
maybe.
me.
He may be a little touchdown dependent? Are we thinking that potentially? I don't know. He's been 19.8, 10 points, 15.9, 10.5, and then 9.5 through the first 5 weeks of the NFL.
What RB is he on the season? Do you know? Where is he?
He
ranked?
is 13 in half-point PPR.
Yeah, you want him to do better.
He's had good weeks, though. I mean, it's not like
He has.
I mean, it's not for first-round talent, no. But, he had a 19-point week, 10, 15, 10, 9. So, yes, it's definitely not first-round caliber, but it's not like he's just completely bombing the week for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So,
and several of those defenses actually were ranked very high, like within the top 10 against running backs. You had the Chargers, they're number 8. You had the Ravens, number 6. And then you had New England, number 5. So, who knows? Maybe it could be kind of a game thing.
It might be. But moving on to the player we're most distressed about, that is going to be tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles, Zach Ertz. Ertz is on Philly with pretty much no receivers. Some are starting to emerge. However, he is Zach Ertz. He garnered 6 targets in this game and caught only 1 for 6 yards. Yikes.
Yikes.
I got to say, this Ertz.
Good one, Joey.
Thank you. What do you feel, Zach?
I am distressed because at one point in time you're thinking, okay, Dallas Goedert's not there right now, so he is able to feast, but we have not seen that the last several weeks. On the other side of the coin, though, what healthy receivers do they have? The defenses are able to game plan and key in on Zach Ertz because really up until this game, actually, they had no name wide receivers, no one that they could really rely on. So, yes, I am distressed. They are supposed to get back to Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey this week, which I don't know if they'll do much, but at least they're names that could draw the defenses away from Zach Ertz. So I could see a slight bump, but yeah, I'm not too happy about this performance or his several last performances.
I'm worried too, but I think it's too early to abandon him and go to the waiver wire. You probably have to stick with him for a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is the tight end 17 on the season in half-point PPR. He's got Baltimore next, so don't know what you're going to do there. But I think that is going to do it for our top 5 players we're distressed about. Zach, why don't you take us into some waves and trades?
All right, so these are our top 5 waves, our waiver ads for the week. At number 5, we have Travis Fulgham, and you may not know who this is. Don't you worry. Many people did not, but this is one of the Philadelphia Eagles wide receivers. He actually scored 26.2 fantasy points in half PPR formats, had 13 targets this week, 152 yards on 10 receptions, and a touchdown. And that was against a great Steelers D, but Steelers have been a lot more beatable in the air attack this year. So what do you guys think? Do y'all think Travis Fulgham is going to be a good waiver pickup?
Yeah, I think so. Wentz looked at him 13 times. That's a good sign right there. Did you say that Alshon and Deshaun Jackson were coming back this next week?
So they're supposed to practice this next week is what Doug Peterson said. I'm not sure if they'll play, but I think they should because Alshon was out last week just with an illness. And Deshaun, I think he came back to practice, but they ended up just sitting him. So I think this week should be the week for them. But they are still just kind of bigger names at this point. They're not, they're pretty old. Fulgham's a lot younger. So, do we think that he actually could have a role even with both of them coming back?
I think he does have a role. I'm just not crazy about the matchup.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not going out and burning a bunch of fab on him. He's getting a lot of targets. I think it's an okay option if you need a wide receiver, but that's the most praise I can give him.
Right. Yeah. I could. You could do worse for sure. in terms of like a buy fill in or, a flyer, but that's all I think he is at this point in time. I don't think he's got season long value, especially with the Eagles having such a poor offense and just team all around this year. All right, awesome. Well, number 4, we have Preston Williams. Preston Williams has basically given us some duds this season. He's escaped some of those duds with just a touchdown. And then this game against the 49ers, which their defense is pretty beat up, but pretty shocking game, actually, as a whole, seeing the Dolphins beat the 49ers that bad. He had 18.6 fantasy points, 4 receptions on 5 targets for 106 yards and a touchdown. Previously, before this game, too, their offensive coordinator came out and said that they have to get him the ball more, that they have to get him more involved. He's a great talent, so they got to figure out ways to get him the ball more. So what do you guys think about picking up Preston Williams?
Yeah, I think he should be on in every league. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's playing good football right now, and the receivers are getting fantasy points. Devontae Parker had a good game too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with this matchup with the Jets next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're gonna want to pick him up.
And I think too with Devontae Parker, he's been battling some injuries. He's been doing very well for you though. But yeah, if something ever happened to Devontae Parker or he just has slower games, that could mean if they're trying to get Preston Williams more involved, Ryan Fitzpatrick's doing better. Preston Williams could actually have several weeks down this stretch where he does well for you like this game. So would definitely put in a waiver him. James, you mentioned it. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he is actually number 3 on our list. He scored 27.6 fantasy points against the San Francisco 49ers. Very absurd game. 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he's been doing it. Like since week 2. Week 1, he didn't have that great of a game against the Patriots. Week 2, he had 24 points. Week 3, 24. Week 4, 21, and then this past week, 27. So he is not slowing up. He is showing us that he's still got that Fitz magic. So what do you guys think of him at number 3 on this list?
He's playing great. You got to pick him up. He's got to be rostered. I wanted to put him in my top 5 in press, but yeah, he's playing awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. Everybody views him, and I think we all do too, as a streamer.
Yeah.
And Ryan Fitzpatrick is the QB 11 on the season. So you're streaming a top 12 option. Granted, he's played Buffalo, Jacksonville, and Seattle all in a row, who are all bottom half defenses. However, he put up 27 against San Francisco, and he's got the Jets next. You're talking about Russ cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Fitz is going to cook.
Oh, yeah.
How much fab would you guys put on him? Let's say you had Dak Prescott. He just gets hurt. How much fab do you burn to get
Man,
Fitz?
I would probably say a good 25, maybe 30 on Fitz. Because right now, I would not anticipate you having all of your fab left. So I would say a good 20, 30 in a 100 fab league would be good, especially missing Dak. Like, I think it would be good enough.
Yeah, he's got a pretty decent schedule. He still plays the Jets twice. He plays the Chargers, the Broncos, who are bottom defenses. He's still got New England in there as well, Arizona, the Rams, Kansas City. Yeah, I'd say probably about 20, 25 probably. If I'm a Dak owner, yeah.
Awesome. All right, number 2 on our list, we have a Mr. Chase Claypool. He had a whopping 39.1 fantasy points this past week. He was definitely Ben Roethlisberger's favorite target. He had just a monster day, 11 targets, 7 receptions, 110 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And then he also had 3 attempts on the ground for 6 yards and a rushing touchdown. So by all means, just a monster day. What do we think of him? Joey, you mentioned it. Deontay Johnson's a little banged up right now. Chase Claypool is a big body. He hasn't been getting a whole lot of targets these last couple of games, but you can tell Ben Roethlisberger has been trying to look for him in certain cases. So what do y'all think of him at number 2 on this list?
He put up 16 points against Denver in week 2. And outside of that, and last week, he had 5 points against the Giants in week 1 and then 2.9 against Houston in week 3. Had the unexpected bye in week 4 and then came out with 11 targets. You know, I think with Deontay Johnson out, he's probably a good pickup. And he led the team in targets, 11 targets, 3 touchdowns. I mean, a lot of it was opportunity against a very porous, Eagles defense. He's got the Browns next, who are 31st against fantasy wide receivers. He's a good pickup. He's very talented. We know that for sure. Mm-hmm. What do you think, James?
Yeah, Big Ben was kind of going after that linebacker they kind of had covering him, which was just a mistake on the Eagles' part. So I don't know if you can expect these type of games from Claypool every week, but Tomlin and Big Ben both been talking about him and saying how talented he is and how much he's impressed them. So they clearly like him, and I think they're going to try to use him in this offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for sure the 39-point game is definitely an outlier. Like you said, that linebacker covering him was not the right move, but I don't know. We could see more targets down the road. This performance could have earned him more targets at least, which is all we can ask for because he is very talented. He's a big body, can get those touchdowns too. So who knows if he's able to increase his target share up to 5, 6, maybe even 7 targets a game, we could see a good investment right there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, and last on our list, number 1, and we actually wouldn't really mention this because we would assume they're rostered, but looking at our format that we do fantasy in, Alexander Madison's only rostered in 11% of leagues. Chase Edmonds, I believe, in only 20%. So these are our number 1 waiver ads. Alexander Madison looking like Dalvin Cook could miss some time. He just had an MRI on his groin. But you saw Alexander Madison. He got 15.1 fantasy points this week with just a second half of football. Not even in a full game. Just the second half went off. Chase Edmonds, spelling Kenyon Drake, not even starting, had 17 points. And he's getting all the passing down work. He is, by all means, looking more efficient. And who knows, maybe he earned himself some more touches here. So what do y'all think of having these 2 candidates on our list at number 1?
If they're owned in our leagues, both these guys, if they're out there and you're the Cook owner, you got to burn probably all your fab to get Madison if Cook's not going to play. Edmonds,
I was just going to say, I'm thinking Cooks doesn't play at least this week, and then they have a bye the next week, so there's a chance that he comes back after that. But the way he looked after that, sustaining that injury, looked very bad, but then he came out of the locker room, looks pretty good, and then the very first play he played, you could see him limping off the field. So those soft tissue injuries are no joke. They can linger a good amount of time. So I'm thinking we see Madison at least this week, and then who knows if bye week doesn't treat him well, we could see him another week. So and you saw what happened. 15 points just by Madison in one half is absurd if Cooks does get injured. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alexander Madison and Dalvin Cook, they have an incredible schedule coming up. Atlanta next week. They got Green Bay after the bye, then Detroit, Carolina, Jacksonville, and Detroit again. If you are the Cook owner and Alexander Madison is available, then I do think Dalvin Cook comes back, but you got to spend a lot of fab to get Madison, or work out a really good trade to get him. Mm-hmm. And Edmonds, yeah, he's carving out a role in that offense. Even if Drake is still the lead back, Edmonds could be like the primary receiving back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like we talked about, it seems like they're trying to get Edmonds the ball, especially on that passing down work. So definitely, if they are not rostered, they are our first priority to you all. But that is going to do it for our top 5 waves. Now let's get into some top 5 trades. So we are going to go with our first buy low candidate, and this one comes as a little bit of a shock. Lamar Jackson. What do y'all think? He is our top buy low candidate actually this week. He only scored 13 points this past week. Week before that, he had a good 25-point outing. Week before that, though, only 14 points, a 17-point game before that. So definitely not returning that value of what people thought he was going to be this year. Now, I will say they were ahead by a significant margin against Cincy, though. Schedule isn't insanely favorable for QB coming up, but it's Lamar Jackson. He's got the ability to do it, both threats of the field. So what do we think? Are y'all wanting to buy low on Lamar Jackson right now?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I want to buy low on him right now. I think that there's a chance he could buy him lower later on.
Really?
He's got he played Cincinnati, who's remarkably sixth against fantasy QBs. Philly's next, who's 12. Got the bye, and then he's got the Steelers and the Colts and New England and Tennessee right after that, and Pittsburgh again. I think maybe you could buy him late for a playoff push because after that he's got Dallas, Cleveland, and Jacksonville.
See, I'd honestly rather him play all of those teams because playing against a team like Cincy, they shut him down. He doesn't even have to play the second half of the game. RG3 can come in for him instead. So I'd rather him play competitive teams like the Steelers, the Titans, maybe not Philadelphia, but, like teams like that that are actually going to stay in the game, make them do things. I think those are actually the better options, even if they're a good team against the QB and a good defense against QB.
Well, the thing that stands out to me on this is Lamar was 19 of 37. Yes, he had 2 touchdowns, but he also threw a pick, and he did nothing on the ground. So you need Lamar to run to have a very productive day from him.
Right.
The accuracy didn't look great against Cincinnati, so I think you can buy him lower later on. Do I want to buy him low now? I might, yeah. But I think you can get him probably even cheaper later on.
So do a temp check with whoever's the owner in your league on him and see what they're trying to do, and then maybe you can come back to it later on after maybe he has some more games like this. What do you think, James?
Yeah, all the reasons y'all said. I want Lamar Jackson on my team. I would go out there and get him if I can.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Our next buy low candidate, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We talked briefly about him earlier on the episode, but he has by no means shown that he is that first-round draft talent for fantasy as of right now. His schedule, is okay going forward, but he is getting the carries. He's getting targeted. Maybe not getting the goal line work, but hopefully you can take advantage of that from the Clyde Edwards-Helaire owner. What do y'all think?
Chiefs running back is historically very productive. I would go get him if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Offer who's some, I don't know. Could you do Gaskin and Marquise Brown for him or something like that?
I don't know. It would depend how deep they are at running back because I would not want to give him up for someone like Gaskin and Marquise Brown. Honestly,
Todd Gurley.
I was just thinking Todd Gurley, actually, Joey. Yeah,
I don't know. That's tough. Y'all would rather have CH without a question?
I might.
Todd Gurley he's got an easy
Zach.
schedule coming forward for sure. But yeah, I think I would.
Clyde's schedule opens up in the middle of the season, and Todd's gets tougher. I'd sell high.
All right.
I could
Fine
see
with
it.
me.
I think that's what it would take, though, to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't think someone's going to trade him for some late round running back or anything like that, and a wide receiver pair. I think you would have to do someone who is doing very well right now, Todd Gurley, for instance. But going forward down the season, Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now is a lot more talented on a much more high powered offense. Probably has more opportunities. So we'll see. I don't know. Next up on the list for a buy low, we have Tyler Boyd. Only had a 6-point day against a Ravens D that shut them down. The Bengals did not look good in any means, but who knows? Maybe the Tyler Boyd owner lost their game this week because they started Tyler Boyd. He had a pretty bad outing. But I'm thinking AJ Green pulled his hamstring. Tyler Boyd's only going to get more and more targets. He is averaging about 10 targets a game. I'm sorry, no, he's averaging about 9 targets a game right now. So very, very good. He's hyper-targeted. Should be a good offense moving forward still, even though they had a poor outing. So what do y'all think about buying low on Tyler Boyd?
Yeah, I'd buy him low. He's wide receiver 1. It's a pass-heavy offense. Yeah, they're playing Baltimore. So, yeah, that's why he got shut down. I think going forward, he's got Indianapolis next, who's still very good, but then he's got Cleveland, Pittsburgh, who's been leaking points, Washington, the Giants, Miami, Dallas, Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'd buy low.
Yeah, I think it was just a rough game for Burrow and the Bengals in general. Boyd's probably the number 1 wide receiver there now. AJ Green's not playing good football. I would go get Boyd if you can.
Yep. Agreed. Well, that's all for our buy lows. So now sell high. top of this list, we have Darrell Henderson. He had 15 rush attempts for 38 yards, a rush touchdown, 3 receptions for 30 yards, and a receiving touchdown. He has had some fairly good games, but it seems like they're still trying to deploy more of a rotation than anything. Cam Akers got more involved now. I know Malcolm Brown had 8 carries. They were up against the Washington football team the entire time. And 15 for 38, he only averaged 2.5 yards on the ground. So that was a good, against the middle of the road, run D. So what do we think about selling high on Darrell Henderson?
Sure, if you get the right price, yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
It's going to be rotation.
Yeah, it'll be a rotation. And I think there could be an RB needy team who would be looking at the production he's had, maybe not watching those games, seeing the split involvement there, and would be willing to pull the trigger on a higher investment for him. All right. And then last on our sell high and trade list, we have Brandon Cooks. This one kind of hurt a little bit to include, actually, because we talked about him having such a great day, being very involved, and possibly the offense being a lot more willing to succeed. But, yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think of Brandon Cooks here? I didn't want to have him here. I don't know. I feel like you could get a good return on him now because people will say, okay, maybe he is the wide receiver 1 in this Texans offense. Maybe this Texans offense is going to just skyrocket. And there is the possibility that this was an outlier game where the rest of the games we see just kind of middle of the road fantasy production, and Will Fuller is actually the wide receiver 1. So what do y'all think?
I think both wide receivers are going to be productive. Yeah, I think this is all situational. If the price is right, yes. But I like Cooks going forward.
Yeah.
I kind of do too. He's got a nice schedule coming up, and yeah, like you said, he could be the one. Who knows?
Yep. So buy low or sell high on Brandon Cooks.
Do something with him.
Exactly.
Whatever works. Whatever is right.
Yeah, whatever works. And if he is on your waiver wire, because a lot of people said to drop him last week, we did included, pick him up. He probably would move up to the first ranked waiver spot. So, but that is going to do it for our waves and trades. So next, will somebody move us into Kim Droppable?
James Droppable.
James, you give us the Kim Droppable.
All right, can we drop Scotty Miller? I say yeah.
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 Can we drop Matt Ryan?
He had a 6-point fantasy day, but I'm going to say no. I think you got to hold. You have to wait to see what happens with the firing of Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn's out. Julio was out. I think you can still hold on to him. But if he does a bad game, then yeah, you're probably going to drop him.
If someone dropped Matt Ryan, I'd be scooping him up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you can drop him. Dalton Schultz, can you drop him?
Oh, this hurts.
Because you have him, don't you?
No, I actually traded him.
That's right.
I want to actually call attention to this trade I did. I had Dak Prescott, Dalton Schultz, and Jerick McKinnon, and traded them all beginning of this week for Deshaun Watson and Julio Jones. So this was before knowing that Dak was going to get hurt. So basically, I put in a waiver wire ad for Julio Jones and Deshaun Watson because that's all it was.
Zach saw a witch doctor use dark magic to see what was going to happen and pulled the greatest fantasy heist off ever.
Oh yeah. I'm not dropping Dalton Schultz just yet. I'll probably give it like one more game. I think the Giants were ranked pretty well against the tight end too, so maybe we'll see. We'll wait on a favorable matchup and see if Andy Dalton really isn't going to target him or not. But yeah, I'm going to hold for now.
You give it one game.
I'm completely with you guys. One game, and if he's bad again, drop him.
Yeah.
Jerick McKinnon, I think we can drop him.
I think we kind of can too. Raheem Mostert looks like the same old Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
And
He's
yes,
the guy.
it is a little rotational, but Tevin Coleman will come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Jerick McKinnon might. That one's hard too.
Sell him. Just trade him.
Maybe try and sell him.
Try and deal
I don't
him.
know. I don't
Package
know
him.
anymore. Yeah,
Just get him off your roster.
Drop
Yeah.
him.
Mo Alley Cox. Can we
Drop.
drop him?
Yeah.
Say no.
I said drop. Trey Burton's
okay.
back now, so I think he's getting more involvement, more targets. I think Mo Alley Cox got a little banged up in the last game, but he did nothing. So, I think he's when Jack Doyle, Trey Burton are healthy. I think it's too hard for him to find much fantasy relevance. So, drop.
Mm-hmm. Hate to say it, I love the guy, but now you got to drop him.
I'm with you. And our last one, AJ Green. Oof.
Drop yesterday.
Yeah. It's a big name, but he's hurt. He has been usurped by Boyd and Higgins. And, yeah, you have him on your team. You're burping to complete
If
the
you
run.
needed closure, too, because he hasn't been doing that well. He hasn't been connecting well. And so maybe some people, because of the name, kept him. So if you needed closure, now he has a hamstring injury. So this is your closure to just get rid of him.
James, you okay?
My dog kept plugging out my outlet, so my lights flashed in my eyes like 3 times.
The newsroom's going crazy.
Your dog is can unplug and plug lights in?
He walked by it and like barely knocked it out of the socket
Ow.
a little.
That's a pretty impressive dog if you could unplug
It's like,
it.
James, can we turn a lamp on for once in a while? Come on.
What?
He's like, James, can we cut a lamp on in here or something every once in a while? Come on.
All right. Great show, guys. Joey, take us home.
Yeah, I think that's going to do it for the show. You know, go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube and on Twitter. Go follow us at GrownUpFF, Facebook.com/GrownUpFF. Be sure and click the bell to get the notifications when we upload. Like Zach said, we are going to be uploading maybe a little bit more now, so be on the lookout for the extra episodes. And leave a comment below or tweet at us who you're impressed with, who you're distressed with, who you want to trade, who you think you can sell high or buy low and sell high, which is what I just said. But, yeah. Anyways, go like and subscribe. Go grow up and get guffed.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.